This is the Shoulda Bet More podcast, presented by Gold Boys Network. Here's your host, Will Hill.
Welcome to the Shoulda Bet More podcast, presented by Gold Boys. Coming up on the show, Mitch Moss of VSiN will join us. We will discuss some MLB awards, MLB futures, get his thoughts on the NFL. Excited to talk to Mitch. And we get closer and closer. Had some football this weekend. Always good to see like the rookies play. Caleb Williams, Daniels, McCarthy. Got to see a bunch of the quarterbacks. Nick's played pretty well. So I'll have some thoughts on the preseason. Maybe I'll talk about that in a couple of days once all of these teams have played a game. And before I get to the baseball, just wanted to put a bow on what we talked about the other day. The Olympics, boy, it wasn't easy. Curry was just incredible. And you wonder if that's just the final moment. And you want to say the final relevant moment of his career. But boy, it's not impossible that the team he's on, the situation, his age, that's kind of the crowning achievement, the final feather in the cap to what has just been an all-time great career. I don't know, top 10, top 15. I don't know where you put him. Won 4 championships, just an all-time great. And some of the shots he hit, just his flair for the dramatic, the ability to hit tough shots, not even looking at the basket over Wembanyama, just incredible. And I've made the point the other day, and it's worth repeating, to see Durant, LeBron, Curry all on the court. All of that talent, all of the history, just 3 of the 10, 15 best players of all time all together. You just kind of hope, you wish that some of these guys could just get in a situation, and even if it's teaming up, whatever it is, where they're in a relevant situation. LeBron made his own bed going back to the Lakers, so not sure what that looks like. Although Davis looked great. You watch LeBron, you watch Davis. How the hell are the Lakers not a factor? I know they were in the conference finals a couple years ago, but Curry, just an unbelievable performance, but his team's no good. Durant's team got swept in the first round, so I don't know. It's too bad. It's too bad because that was just a pleasure to watch. Just a flurry of threes from Curry at the end of that game as U.S. hangs on to win. They don't cover. Game does go over pretty much thanks to Curry because that was on pace to go under pretty late. And just an incredible shooting performance. It felt like France was at arm's length the whole time, down 8, down 10, down 12. And you look up and it was like 3 with a couple minutes ago. It's like, how did this get this close? But then Curry puts it away. So NBA season will probably be starting pretty soon. And usually mid-September is when they start training camp. So it comes too quickly. We don't need it to come back anytime soon, but it was fun to watch this weekend. Just a pleasure to watch Curry. But the baseball, these races get tighter. These races get better. Yankees and Orioles just sort of trade punches. Yankees have bad losses, then they win. I've given up trying to figure out what this team is. You're ready to count them out. They come back. You're ready to crown them and think they're back for good. And they have, 2 losses to the Angels and a bad loss to the Rangers, but they do win the series against Texas. They win 2 out of 3. Schedule the rest of August isn't bad. You look at Baltimore, they win 2 out of 3 as well, lose the game on Sunday. So nobody gains any ground. It's fitting that they have the same record. You'd like, if you're the Yankees, to use August, not to trade punches, but to get some separation with your schedule. But maybe that can happen because the Orioles are going to be without Grayson Rodriguez for most of, if not all of the rest of the regular season, the starting pitcher. And they're just running out of pitching. Eflin's been tremendous for them, but other than Burns, other than Eflin, it's a lot of Trevor Rogers and Dean Kramer. The Suarez started today. They just do not have, I don't think, enough starting pitching really to win a championship. I know once you get in, anything can happen, but their pitching is really taking a hit. And speaking of pitching, Minnesota loses Joe Ryan, their pitcher, and they had cut the Cleveland lead. Cleveland has led the AL Central wire to wire, and Minnesota cut it to 1 after sweeping a doubleheader Friday. Had a chance to tie Cleveland for the division on Saturday and take the lead on Sunday if they were able to win both. Well, they lost both, and Cleveland gives themselves some more breathing room where now they are up by 3 games. Big win on Saturday, big win on Sunday, where it looks like, man, Cleveland, you're running out of gas, you're running on fumes. To be able to win both of those and reestablish your lead, I thought was really important here for Cleveland. So they're now up by 3. As you look at some of these races, Houston and Seattle. Seattle's playing right now against the Mets, going for a sweep. We'll see how that goes. But they are within half a game as this takes place. So they're going to be tied or a game back. There's a little bit of a game differential there, but that race is going to go down to the wire. AL East obviously going to go down the wire. AL Central, I still think is going to be competitive because I just don't know if Cleveland's going to pull away here. Again, Minnesota with the pitching issues and their injuries. We'll see if they can make a run, or Kansas City. But just good races. Atlanta had a terrible, just an absolutely game you cannot lose in Colorado on Sunday. They are now on the outside looking in, at least for the moment. Again, we'll see what happens with the Mets, but they were on their way to at least win 2 out of 3, win 2 in a row, maybe get some of your momentum, some of your good vibes back. But they were up 8-2 in the bottom of the 8th and give up a 7 spot, give up a touchdown and an extra point to the Rockies, lose the game 9-8. And they are just a mess right now, and they are in serious, serious danger of missing the playoffs. So These races are great. I know once football gets here, they all go kind of by the wayside or they go on the back burner. But man, I would be okay. As much as I love football, I would be okay with no football until these baseball races ended, these baseball awards kind of take shape. It's just, you kind of get so caught up in football. We're all guilty of it. Saturday, all college football, Sunday, NFL, Monday night football, Thursday night football. Baseball gets lost, but we're looking at some tremendous races in baseball. We're at a time where we didn't look like we were going to have that many races, but a lot of these races have taken shape here. So, quickly on the awards before we get to Mitch, I think Skeens almost eliminated himself from Cy Young contention with that performance on Saturday against the Dodgers. Gave up 4 runs, like five or so innings. I just don't think with the limited amount of innings he's pitched, he just basically had to be perfect. Lights out every start, 1 million strikeouts, no runs or 1 run. He just had to be so good to steal this award. And a high profile game like that, I feel like takes him out of the mix. So I don't think he's going to win it. I think it's probably safe to say it's going to come between Wheeler and Sale in the National League for Cy Young. I think that was a really damaging loss for Skeens, and Rookie of the Year is getting even closer now because Jackson Merrill, and I should mention the Padres too, have just found ways to win close game after close game, sort of the opposite of last year where they blew all these close games and lost all these games in extra innings. They've been the opposite where they win all these close games now. But Jackson Merrill's hit big home run after big home run late in games. And he is now in the mix for Rookie of the Year. He's down to 4-1. I mentioned Cy Young, Sales even money. Wheeler's plus 180. Skeens is down to plus 330. Hunter Green's at 20-1. Femi Abebefe was on the show maybe 3 weeks ago. I talked about him at 150-1, and he is now the 4th shot behind the big 3. Cease is at 20-1. Didn't pitch well on Sunday. I don't think he's going to win. Glasnow's probably not going to win. Suarez 80-1. So those guys are not going to win. In the AL, it's cleared up a little bit. Scooble minus 330. Burns plus 290. Lugo's out to 18-1. Not sure if there's a bet there. If anything, I take a shot at Lugo. We've referenced the Tom Tango model. Gil Alexander has been on the show. I think he's going to be on in a couple of days. Has referenced this a lot too. Lugo at 18-1. Some of the metrics favor them, but I don't know that he's actually going to get there. But again, at 18-1, maybe that's worth a shot. So these races are interesting. These awards are interesting. Fun to have baseball here down the stretch. Just watching all these races, watching all the scoreboards. And it's just, it makes for great action. It really does. The Monday games, nothing during the day. We get Reds Cardinals, we get Cubs Guardians, Astros Rays, Rangers Red Sox. Bello goes for the Red Sox. His over out prop might be a good look because the Red Sox got nothing out of their rotation in terms of length all weekend. Paxton got hurt. Halquist didn't give them a ton of length. So they really were in their bullpen a lot. Bello outs might be a good way to look. Twins Royals is a fun series, a big series. Yankees play the White Sox, so they should get fat against these games. You never, even against the White Sox, you never can trust the Yankees. They're minus 310. I would never trust them laying a price like this against anybody. We saw them against the Angels struggle. Brewers Dodgers is a fun series. So you got some decent games here on Monday. And Braves Giants. Giants have quietly crept back into the playoff picture. They lost the rubber game or the final game on Sunday against Detroit, but they had won 4 in a row and they've gotten themselves back into the mix here for a wild card spot. So that is a good series. That is a fun series. Sale going against Snell. That's a good pitching matchup. Total 6.5. So pretty good Monday slate as baseball goes down the stretch here last 6 weeks or so in terms of Major League Baseball and football back, college football a couple weeks away. It is a fun time of year. We will discuss all of that and more with Mitch Moss. That is next. This is Shoulda Bet More podcast. All right, we are back. Shoulda Bet More podcast. It is a must listen to every morning. Follow the money, and he is the co-host. Is Mitch Moss. Thanks for joining us, Mitch. Welcome back. Appreciate it. How's everything going?
Hey, buddy. Good to talk to you again, man. Hope things are well.
Fun time of the year, almost football. These pennant races are winding down. And look, I love baseball so much. As much as I love football, I would be happy with just, no football until baseball ended so we can just enjoy it. It kind of gets lost once football starts. That being said, pennant races, awards. I guess we'll start with awards. A lot of these markets make it seem like these awards over, but
Yeah.
I get the sense you disagree and you think some of these are open. Which ones, if any, and where are the bets to be made?
Well, that's a good question. Because I honestly don't know if any bets are to be made, but I'm very curious because we have, when you stop and think about it, I'm with you, by the way. I wish we could let the entire baseball season breathe, then have football start. I wish that the NBA would not even come close to starting in October. I think it's ridiculous. I think they should start like in January. Anyway, are we sure that Bobby Witt can't win the American League MVP? The Royals are, odds on to make the playoffs. I don't know. I don't think they're going to win their division. I think if they would win the division, then all bets are off, in my opinion. Then Witt can catch Judge. You're a guy who's holding a huge ticket, unbelievable call by you on Judge to win the MVP. Are you scared a little bit that Witt can come back and win this thing?
Of course, I think it's just a natural, you know, just the bettor's mindset. You're always trying to think. I don't know if you feel this way, but bettors were always just thinking, how can I lose this? And you always think you can lose it. And especially, I mean, they're just walking him so much where like walks aren't going to be sexy. All right, it's going to help his on base and it's going to help that, but it takes him out of a rhythm. He's not getting the chances to hit the home runs. And like, you're not going to, he's built up enough of a stat line where the walks, I don't know. You're going to need to hit some more home runs. Obviously, he's going to hit some more. But yes, to answer your question, yes, I am concerned. It has crossed my mind for sure.
And Will, when you look at like the overall advanced numbers, he's leading in WAR right now at Fangraphs. He's got an 8.2 WAR to Judge, and that's 7.9. And you know how seriously voters take WAR and the advanced stuff. I know he's way behind in home runs, but when you look at you can't ignore a guy who hit 500 for a month, and he's been hovering around that number for a while. But also like the extra base hits, 33 doubles, 11 triples. He's close to leading the league in triples. He's a couple behind Duran from the Red Sox. He's not going to lead the league in doubles, but he's like within shouting distance. The stolen bases on the year are there as well. The guy's phenomenal.
Is it worth a bet right now, or do you have anything
No,
pending, or you're out on this? So
I don't. And I don't even think, because he's right now I'm looking, he is 5-1. Is that number worth grabbing today? To me, it's
right.
probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Judge was like minus 1100. He could have gotten like the field at 8-1, which it's hard to see anyone pass Judge or Witt. I think Henderson's probably not going to win this award. He went a while without, home run, things like that. That's the best number out there, 5-1.
Yeah, in that range.
I probably need a little bit more, but I wouldn't argue if you took him at 5-1.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the same thing, by the way, in the National League with Ketel Marte, but also he got hurt last night. So I don't think I can really make a case there. His numbers are, 7-1. He got a little bit lower than that this week. He was around plus 550. But again, another guy, when you look at the overall numbers, really good plus defender. And his WAR is right there, along with Elly De La Cruz, by the way, needs to be mentioned with Ohtani. And I'm just curious even if Ohtani goes 40-40, will voters look at that and say, he's a DH, man. Like he doesn't play defense. De La Cruz is, his numbers are insane. But also with Marte, like if he didn't get hurt, do you think there's anything here where guys could catch Ohtani?
I thought the same thing. I've made the cases for maybe like Lindor, just other guys for all the reasons you mentioned, where he's just a DH. Dodgers are good, but we expect them to be good. I don't know. DraftKings has Ohtani minus 1200, but you can get the field at plus 650. Is there enough time left where plus 650 you don't have to pick the player? And why take Marte at 7-1 when you just get everybody at plus 650? That might be the way to go.
Oh yeah, if you're gonna make a bet there, I think it would be the field bet. And I wonder, because I do think the more that I pay attention to this stuff and read up on it on a daily basis, people are kicking around the DH thing with Ohtani. But then again, they might be just looking for an excuse not to give him the award.
Right.
And some people might have like almost voter fatigue with Ohtani just because he's going to win it like every single year, especially when he comes back and pitches. But I wonder like if they'll look at that enough and say, yeah, it doesn't play defense. The other guys do, and Marte's really good at it. If there could be something, and I'll tell you what, the award where I would be concerned is we'll stay in the National League. Based on his performance on Saturday, and now the Pirates losing all these games, at some point, does the club come in and just say, that's it, we're shutting Paul Skeens down. These are meaningless games. We cannot afford to have him go out there and risk injury. No more starts for him. Well, this run by Jackson Merrill from the Padres is unbelievable what he's doing. All these home runs are coming late in the game when they're either trailing to tie the game up, to take the lead. The clutch factor there, he was 12 to 14 to 1 early in the week. I'm looking at DraftKings right now. Merrill's down to 4 to 1.
Wow.
All I'm saying is I think maybe 4 to 1 right now might be a little bit too late, but if anybody was grabbing him earlier in the week at like 12 to 1, I think that number is awesome.
I was doing the show late Saturday night, and Femi Abebefe brought him up, and he was 9-1. I said, 9-1, and this is another thing we do is better. Oh, I want a little more. You always want a little more. Well,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah, right.
you know what, you get a little too greedy, and that 9-1 is 4-1, and you're happy. You wish you grabbed the 9-1. I totally agree. I think any chance of a Cy Young probably took, I don't want to say went out the window, but took a massive hit on Saturday night because that was a high profile game. He
Yeah,
needed to go out there and just, put on a show, strike out 10 guys, have 6, 7 innings, 1 run. I just don't know with the limited innings he's pitched and the Pirates falling. I just don't know that he could have afforded, to have a bad start, which is unfair because they're all going to have bad starts. I just don't know that
sure.
that he could have afforded it.
Give you some numbers here on Jackson Merrill. 5 game tying or go ahead home runs in the 8th inning or later this season, which tied Mel Ott in 1929, second most in the season at age 21 or younger since 1900, only behind Frank Robinson, who had 6 back in 1956. Will that have any weight with the award? And also in his last 10 games, first 9th inning game tying home run versus Pittsburgh, 9th inning game tying home run, game winning 10th inning sacrifice fly against Miami, 9th inning game tying home run, and again against Miami, 8th inning game tying home run. I don't know. I think for those people who are grabbing Jackson, that award's not over with. There's no way you can tell me that Paul Skeens has us wrapped up and it's in the bag. I'm not. I can't buy into that.
Yeah, and people look at markets where somebody's minus 4,500, and we're used to it meaning that, that's over. But with awards, it's not as predictive. It's really not. You're trying to judge what human beings are going to think, and there's a lot of
Yep.
guesswork, which makes for good betting opportunity. Anything else in terms of awards?
American League Rookie of the Year is really. I think it's kind of between two people. Although this is kind of, I like what Jackson Holiday is doing here late, hitting all these home runs. I don't think he has enough of a runway to steal it. He'd have to hit like 20 home runs, I think, to close out. But Colton Cowser now has been so good lately. I think that he might be kind of running away with it at this point. Guy's been awesome. And I'll give you one that's not an award, but a team future. You're holding the Braves at what number to miss the playoffs?
15-1.
15-1. Man, oh man, it's an unbelievable number. Have you come back on the other side yet?
No, thought about it.
Look at the Guardians' schedule.
Oh, to miss.
And they came back on Saturday to finally win a game to snap their long losing streak. Here is they have like top 3 hardest schedule moving forward. They are 8-1 to miss the playoffs, and they finished their series today against the Twins. After that, the Cubs, at the Brewers for 3, at the Yankees, the Rangers, the Royals for 4 before they close this month with Pittsburgh. Then they go at KC, at the Dodgers again. That's all until September 9th when they start a 3-game set against Chicago and the White Sox. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. And I don't even know what that number would have been to begin this month before that 7-game losing streak. That must have been 25-1.
Yeah, I was going to say 30-1, probably.
Probably. I don't know, man. 8-1 with their schedule and the way they've been playing. That might be worth a flyer.
Who are your division winners in the American League? Because we got good races. We didn't look. It looked like it was like going to be the AL East and not much else. A lot of these races where we didn't expect it have tightened up here.
I know. Well, what about you? You're a Yankees guy. I thought that come September 1st, they were going to be minus 250 to win their division.
I agree.
They're huge favorites in these games. How do you get blasted twice against the Angels? You know.
About as strange a team, a strange a season, and you can really say this for both New York teams, where they've had like 3 or 4 different seasons all within one, where they're great, they're terrible, they're great again, they're bad again. I know it's baseball, I know everyone is streaky, but my goodness, this is just an extreme level of. You just got to throw your hands up and kind of give up trying to figure it out because it's just so up and down. It's unlike anything I've ever seen, really, for both the Yankees and the Mets.
Do you like the way baseball's trending like this, in terms of from a betting standpoint? Because you go back not even that long ago, you'd say, well, this team's a juggernaut. They're going to go make it to the World Series. This team, no chance the team's going to beat them. Now with the recent sample size that we have of teams who win 100 games to get the bye and they're losing right away in the playoffs. And like this year, I have the Padres at 20-1 to win the National League. That's because I was watching their games like a lot And I thought that getting Darvish back and Musgrove back at some point really appealed to me if that's going to happen. So I took a shot on them. But I have no idea. I have no clue who's going to be playing in the World Series this year. And to me, that makes it fun and dramatic and entertaining. But from a betting standpoint, I guess if you just take long bombs, that's maybe the way to approach it.
It does. It opens some opportunity. You get things like last year, Texas and Arizona, and just some wild World Series. It does sort of devalue the 162, where all right, we're gonna wipe away these records in October, and we're gonna put all these teams in the playoffs, and it's gonna become March Madness, and it's gonna be coin flips. It's fun, and those extra series are fun. But I don't love it. I thought it was a perfect mix when we had the two wild cards, and they would play the one game playoff right away. Those games were fun. They were exciting, and
Agreed.
you got punished for being a wild card, and those teams that won the division didn't have the long layoff. I don't know. I thought that was the perfect mix.
I think they need to go back to that, but they never will now.
Nope.
That stinks. So, again, fun, but you're going to tell me that people love the Dodgers this year in the National League? How? I mean, I want to sit here and make a case for Philly, but are you going to be stunned if they would play a 3-game or a 5-game set against some of these, any of these teams, and then all of a sudden, boom, done. See you later. I mean, not me.
So would you bet Baltimore? Do you have a lean in any of these divisions? Do you favor the Yankees?
I would like, I bet to begin the month, I bet the Yankees at minus 110. They should really be, but now here we are sitting on, 10 days later.
I know.
And they're not. So I'd probably still go with the Yankees. So
how about any of these other divisions? AL West, who wins?
that's another one. Can you figure out the Astros? Look, the Mariners pitching is so good. Maybe that's a team that's playing in October late. And if they can somehow get it together with their sticks, I know we're 5.5 months or 5 months into the season now almost, and the bats still are alarming, but we saw Gilbert do it again over the weekend. Their pitching is so deep and so good, they should win the division.
Yeah, I think once they blew that 10-game lead so quickly, it's natural for all of us, and we all kind of guilty of it. Where all right, Astros are just going to run and hide with this division, and that's going to continue. And Astros didn't pull away. The Mariners won that game on that Sunday to kind of stabilize things, and they've hung around here. Where I kind of agree. I think we're sleeping on the Mariners a little bit. I've made a case for maybe Texas can get back in it. They just can't seem to put together enough good baseball for a good 2-week stretch where they can just make a dent. The door has been open. They just haven't been able to walk through it.
Yeah. I don't have a ticket on the Padres to win that division, but boy, oh boy, they're scorching hot, and they've done an unbelievable job to get that number down to where it's at right now.
NFL, what is your what's your I'll say hottest take, most like differentiating opinion? Everyone thinks one thing, but you disagree with it.
Go Chargers under, Bears under. I know Caleb looked good yesterday. There was so much steam on the Chargers. I mean, that number the win total got to 9 over minus, odds on. I think it was minus 120. I grabbed under 9 even money, and over 8.5 got to like minus 175. I don't know. I don't see it. I know the defense is going to be very good. I know that they have good edge guys with Bosa and Khalil Mack, but their linebackers on paper are not good. The secondary can maybe stink again this year. The O-line will be fine, but who does Herbert have to work with on that team? And then when you look at the schedule and the rest disadvantages that they have throughout the year, I had to take under 9 on the Chargers. That was a big one for me. And based on kind of the same thing, I had to go 49ers under 11.5. I was hoping that they would trade Ayuk. That would have helped my case. But minus 21 with the net rest and the when and the teams that they're catching with little rest to get ready for them, I think that's going to catch up with them this year. And, they can win the whole thing, but they got to win 12 games to beat me. So I had to go under 11.5.
Anything NFL awards? I feel like these markets, they've taken the fun out a little bit. Any good numbers don't last long. Like golf was out there 35-40 to 1. That's moved. There's so many eyeballs on it. There's so many shows like yours and all of these betting podcasts where if anything's good, it kind of gets gobbled up. That being said, anything appeal to you in terms of NFL awards? Any bets you've made that are currently available?
Okay, so let me run this by you. I did some award betting this week, and everything that you read suggests that the Jets defense is going to be lights out, right? I mean, it's every level of the defense. Interior D-line, edge guys that they brought, they now have. The linebackers are awesome. The secondary is the best in football. Pro Football Focus ranks their D-line best in football. Linebackers the best, secondary the best. So what if they are like a carbon copy almost of like the Ravens from early 2000s? and they allow 10, 11, 12 points per game, and they just shut teams down, and they're that good. Could we have something where voters are not going to be able to ignore taking the best defensive player from the best defensive team like Rudy Gobert this last year in the NBA and give it to a guy on the Jets? I have like 5 Jets players to win Defensive Player of the Year. Sauce started it for me at 72-1. Get him at like 60, but I got and these numbers are all available. I took these are not big bets, by the way, but big odds at 250 and 300-1. They add up quickly. Jermaine Johnson, Leonard Williams, he's like 70, 75. I'm sorry, Quinnen Williams. Quinnen, not Leonard. Quincy Williams, DJ Reed. I have like 5 guys on the Jets at monstrous numbers to win Defensive Player of the Year based on how good that unit might be overall, and voters might not be able to ignore that.
I like that. I might have to dip my toe in that. Speaking of the Jets, I was going to ask you about them anyway. Where do you sit? Because I feel like they're a polarizing team. They're an interesting team. We didn't get to see it last year. I'm all in. I believe. I understand all the perils, but I think, look, Rodgers, I think, will be better than people think. I think he was playing with a bad thumb a couple years ago. Now, look, if you're going to tell me he gets hurt, I mean, I can't argue. I have no idea who's going to get hurt, who's not. But if he's going to be healthy, I think it's a hell of a team.
I think they're awesome. The weapons that he has, the offensive line, in theory, should be much improved. I have Breece Hall tickets to an Offensive Player of the Year. People are making the same case for Garrett Wilson. Rodgers with a chip on his shoulder is the guy that you want to have when you're making a bet on his teams. I have them on tickets to win the division. The Jets' ceiling is, it's Super Bowl champs, right? They can win the whole thing this year, which is scary because it's the Jets, obviously. But no, I think that I think if it plays out and they stay healthy, the team's going to be awesome.
Totally agree. Anything MVP, other awards before we wrap?
No, I'm with you. I got Goff. I took some on Cousins right away when he went to Atlanta, like 50, 60-1. Because honestly, when you look at the top of the board, Will, you're throwing a dart, right? I mean, there's like 12 guys who are 15-1. Like, how do you know which guy is going to have that career year and lead his team to 10, 11 wins? It's difficult. So why not take a flyer on a guy on a team that, the Falcons, they might win the division in 11 games. The Lions, I'm super high on. I got them with tickets coming out of my ears, every which way but loose on the Lions. What if they win 13, 14 games? Goff can't win the MVP? Sure he can.
Yeah, I mean, I've made this point. Like in 2018 and 19, Lamar and Mahomes won this award like 70-1, 80-1, first-year starters. You don't get those numbers anymore. And anyway, they know, like, all the quarterbacks, like the longest you're going to get is like 50-1, and those guys are pretty much dead money.
That's it. I know.
Kyler Murray's of the world. It's just they've made. I remember this time last year, Sam Howell was like 45-1, where they're just. I mean, look, you can't complain, but they're smarter about it. They know, hey, it's going to be a quarterback. It's going to be a quarterback on a good team. We're going to lower all these numbers and dare you to bet it. So it's tough.
Yep. Another good example from last year was Jordan Love. Total unknown. We'd never seen him play in the regular season, and yet they're dealing him at 40-1.
Right.
You're like, okay, stop. I mean, would I take him at 200-1? Sure. But 40-1, no chance.
Yeah, same thing with the Heisman too, where like Burrow was 200-1 when he won it. And now you look at these guys, anyone you could possibly think of is like 40-1, 50-1 or less, where they're not going to hang bad numbers like that anymore.
Yep.
Mitch, appreciate the time. You're the man. Let everyone know where they can find you.
Instagram, just Mitch Moss right there. On X, Mitch Moss Radio as well. And then do Follow the Money. You can watch on YouTube TV. We're on a bunch of regional sports networks, Nesson, Marquee, Masson, Spectrum in LA, 4 to 7 Pacific time, Monday through Friday in the morning, 7 to 10 Eastern time.
Mitch, appreciate the time. We'll hopefully do this again soon.
Thanks, Will.
All right. Thank you to Mitch Moss. We will be back on Wednesday. Rate, review, subscribe. See you Wednesday.